Have you ever imagined that with just $125 a month, you could wake up in a room facing the ocean, where the sunrise moves slowly as if it were made just for you, and where the sound of the waves is so gentle that all the pressures in the US suddenly disappear? And even more surprising, those places are not as far away as you think. They are scattered across the world, small, peaceful, sometimes not even mentioned in travel magazines, yet quietly attracting thousands of Americans to leave behind an expensive life and begin a new, easier chapter. What makes them decide to move? Is it the low cost? Is it the blue ocean? Is it the slower pace of life? Or is it the feeling of truly living? Today we will explore 3 coastal cities that may very well make you ask yourself, could I live a different life, lighter, freer, simply by moving here? Dream it. Pack it. Go. 3. Burgas, Bulgaria. The European seaside so peaceful you won't believe that just a few $100s can let you live an entire month. Bulgaria is probably not the first name that comes to mind when people think about a place to live by the sea. Yet just one visit to Burgas is enough for you to understand why those who have been here quietly keep it to themselves like a secret. When you step out of the airport, the first air that touches your face is a breeze from the sea carrying a light hint of salt. Not harsh, but fresh, as if it had just passed through a forest. In the distance are rows of low houses, calm streets, and especially a sky so wide that you feel as if you have just escaped all the suffocation of big cities. The first impression of Burgas is not the beaches, but the unexpectedly gentle pace of life. People here walk slowly, as if time itself softens when flowing through this city. They don't push, they don't rush. You'll see an elderly woman leisurely walking her dog under the shade of trees, a young couple strolling while holding their baby, or groups of students sitting by the seaside drinking coffee without anyone glancing anxiously at their watch. All of it creates a feeling that this is a place born to heal souls exhausted by life's constant hurry. But what truly shocks many people is not the peaceful beauty, but the price of housing. While most European coastal cities demand costs so high that people hesitate, Burgas goes in the complete opposite direction. With just $150 to $250 a month, you can rent a fully furnished one-bedroom apartment, clean, with a balcony overlooking the street or even a glimpse of the sea. Those who hear this price for the first time often think it's a joke. But Burgas remains there, gentle and unpretentious, as if it has long known it is a gift for those who dare to step outside the familiar path. A single person living in Burgas can completely manage well with about $600 to $800 per month, including rent, food, transportation, internet, and sometimes even small trips around Bulgaria. Not many people know that Burgas is one of the cities with the best quality of life in Bulgaria, yet it is rarely visited by international tourists. This unintentionally creates a rare advantage. You get to enjoy the sea, parks, and fresh air without having to push your way through crowds. Sea Garden, the seaside park running along the coast, is the soul of the city. When you walk here in the morning, sunlight filters through the tree canopy. The sea breeze carries a cool mist, and the birdsong blends with the sound of waves to create a melody so gentle that you might forget you are in Europe. A place where most seaside parks are crowded and noisy. One of the experiences that makes many people decide to stay long-term in Burgas is the first time they visit the local market. Not noisy like South American markets, nor luxurious like Western European supermarkets. The Burgas market carries a warm simplicity. The market is clean, tidy, and every stall is vibrant with the colors of fresh fruits, vegetables, and produce. large, bright red tomatoes as if they were cared for daily under the warm Bulgarian sun, rich, creamy white cheese, fish caught from the Black Sea that very morning, and bundles of young green vegetables still holding drops of dew. You can buy a full bag of ingredients for dinner for just a few dollars and still have excellent quality. The vendors don't just sell food. They share cooking tips, small family stories, and simple but sincere well wishes. A kind of interaction that makes you feel welcomed, even if you're new to the place. Living in Burgas also brings a sense of safety you rarely find in other low-cost coastal cities around the world. When night falls, the city doesn't disappear into darkness. The streets along the shore remain softly lit, enough for you to feel secure while walking. Crime is low. There are no tourist scams, no loud disturbances or nighttime chaos. Everything is quiet enough that you can hear your own footsteps on the pavement. When it comes to healthcare, Burgas once again surprises foreigners. Even though the cost of living is quite low, the hospitals and clinics here still meet European standards. Modern facilities, well-trained doctors, and quick, attentive service. What's remarkable is that the price for a checkup or basic treatment is so low that many expats have to double-check their bill. It's hard not to mention another factor that makes Burgas an excellent choice for remote workers. Bulgaria has a personal income tax and corporate tax rate of only 10%. This has led many freelancers and small business owners to choose the country as an ideal destination for financial optimization. And Burgas, with its slow pace of life, reasonable prices, and pleasant seaside air, becomes the perfect haven for those who want to work while still enjoying life. Transportation in the city is not complicated. You can walk to many places, from your apartment to the market, from the market to the sea, from the sea to your favorite cafe. If you need to go farther, buses are always clean and on time. Taxis are significantly cheaper than in other European countries, and you can even rent a bicycle to ride along the coast. In Burgas, you are never stuck in heavy traffic. You don't need to calculate your departure time to avoid congestion. The streets are simple, pressure-free, just like the people here. But what makes Burgas an even more livable place is the way it makes you feel. Not the excitement of Bangkok, not the passion of Bali or Lisbon, but a warm, peaceful emotion. The feeling of a life that is enough. Here, you don't need much to be happy. The sea is there, the wind is there, the greenery and the sunlight and the quiet are there. Everything is gentle, balanced. Perhaps that is why when many people leave Burgas, they often look back for a moment, as if wanting to remember this city one more time. And those who stay simply found the place where they belong. A place where, with just a few $100s, you can live by the European Sea in a city that is safe, beautiful, gentle, and full of humanity. And if you want to continue exploring peaceful, beautiful, and enough cities like this, please like and subscribe to the channel, so each upcoming journey finds you exactly when you need it. 2. Hua Hin, Thailand, where a seemingly small incident changed an American man's entire life journey. David never imagined that getting lost one morning could change his entire life plan. He came to Thailand to escape the cold of Chicago, planning to stay in Bangkok for a few days before heading down to the southern islands. But that day, while riding a rented motorbike for the first time in his life, David accidentally turned down the wrong road and stopped at the foot of a hill filled with birdsong, in front of a long staircase leading up to the big Buddha of Hua Hin. He turned off the engine and stood still for a few seconds, stunned by a softness of light he had never seen before. The sun was rising, the distant sea reflecting a gentle pink hue, and monkeys were jumping out from the bushes like playful little tour guides. An older Thai woman selling coconuts nearby looked at him and smiled, speaking simple English. "First time here? Don't rush. Hua Hin is slow. Lan jiao jen jai fai kong, jong voi, Hua Hin cham lam." David said that was the sentence that made him stand still. For the first time in many years, he didn't feel like he had to run after any schedule. No need to rush for a train, no need to bury his head in emails, no need to squeeze every hour he had. He stood there for a long time, drank the entire coconut, then slowly climbed each step, and from the moment he looked down at the whole Hua Hin coastline, with the wind blowing gently as if trying to soothe all his exhaustion, he knew this place had just done something to him. He didn't continue his journey. He stayed. A small decision, but one that opened an entirely different chapter of life. Hua Hin isn't aggressive like Bangkok, nor flashy like Phuket. It is a seaside city with the breath of someone mature, calm, knowing who it is, with no need to show off. Here, the small streets light up at night with humble Thai eateries, Italian expat pizza shops, and small bars that aren't loud, but warm. Soi 94, the street every expat mentions, is lively enough for you to feel alive, but never noisy enough to sweep you away. David rented a neat little room in a nearby alley, just $125 a month for a clean, quiet room with a window facing the mountains. He used to pay $1,650 for a small apartment in Chicago, so at first he thought he was being scammed. But everything was real. The landlord even brought him fruit on weekends. Going to the morning market was a new habit he learned very quickly. The vendors recognized him after just 3 visits. They showed him freshly caught sea fish, green vegetables from nearby farms, and watermelon just cut open, still covered with dew. He always walked home with a full bag of groceries that cost no more than a fast food meal in the US. But what he loved most wasn't the price. It was the pace of life. No one rushed him. No one expected him to buy more. People spoke to each other slowly, as if time here was always abundant. When I asked him about his expenses, David took out his phone and showed me the spending notes from the start of the month. He said, still amazed, "I lived an entire month in Hua Hin, including housing, food, a motorbike, daily coffee, weekly massages, fast internet, and medical checkups, for about $650 to $800. In Chicago, just insurance and electricity alone were more than that." He said that when you're not worried about every bill, you finally have time to truly live. Hua Hin has something else: emotional safety. Because it's not just safe from crime, it's safe in the sense that you don't feel pulled into invisible competition. The locals are gentle, smile often, and have a kind of natural politeness that makes you feel unjudged. You can sit alone on the beach without anyone disturbing you. You can ride a motorbike up Monkey Mountain early in the morning, stand overlooking the empty sea, listen to monkeys playing with each other, and feel your heart soften. Healthcare in Hua Hin is also what gives many foreigners peace of mind to stay long-term. Bangkok Hospital, considered the gold standard of Thailand, provides confidence without making you worry about costs. David once had a full checkup there and said it was so smooth and so kind, it was almost emotional. Then one afternoon, we walked along the beach together. David said, "At first I thought I would stay only a month, but then I realized I was breathing deeper here. I slept better. I laughed more. I ate healthier. And I started working more effectively without stress." Hua Hin does not promise to change your life. It doesn't try. It just is what it is. A small seaside town, gentle, easy to live in, beautiful in a quiet way. But that very quietness creates space for Americans like David, people who have lived too long under pressure, to find a place where they can slow down, rest, breathe, and live. At the end of our conversation, I asked David how much longer he planned to stay. He looked out at the sea, where the sun had just touched the horizon and painted the sand in a soft orange color. He smiled. How long? I think. Until I no longer need to look for somewhere better. Hua Hin is not paradise. It is home for those who have gone too far only to realize what they were truly searching for. If these stories resonate with you, hit subscribe. You won't miss a single journey. And who knows, someday you may find the place where you belong. 1. Santa Marta, Colombia, where an American man found his true heartbeat again on the Caribbean coast with just $150 in rent. When I met John, an American man from Tampa, he was sitting at an old wooden table in a cafe facing the Caribbean Sea. The black coffee in his hand was steaming, and his smile was so gentle you wouldn't think he had spent more than 3 decades working in the high-pressure logistics industry in the United States. I asked him why he chose Santa Marta, a city many Americans hear about and assume is from a movie. John put his coffee down, leaned back in his chair, and said, "In the U.S., I lived comfortably, but I didn't feel joy anymore. Here I live simply, and I feel myself returning." That answer wasn't poetic, but it made me want to listen more. John said he came to Santa Marta just for a 3-week break, but after only 5 days, he decided to stay for a few months. And now, 3 years have passed. He lives in an apartment 2 blocks from the beach, with a balcony facing the sunset. And the thing that makes him laugh every time he tells it is, it's only $230 a month. So cheap that I thought the landlord wrote the number wrong. Then he said what truly made him stay wasn't the rent. It was a simple morning greeting. An old woman selling mangoes at the market called him over one day to ask, "Where have you been, son? Haven't seen you for days." In the U.S., he had never felt remembered in that way. After hearing that story, I began to see Santa Marta through eyes that no travel guide could ever teach you. This city doesn't try to overwhelm you. It enters your life slowly but deeply. It's like the rhythm of the waves here. Not loud, but steady, certain. Santa Marta first impresses you with its vibrancy. Nothing stands still in this city. The sound of the ocean blends with salsa music coming from an open window. Children's laughter mixes with the calls of fruit vendors. The smell of grilled seafood, freshly roasted coffee, hot sand after a long day. Everything blends into a feeling that you cannot stay outside of. This is not a city you just look at. This is a city you must blend into. And what many Americans cannot believe until they experience it themselves is this: a life like this is unbelievably cheap. A fully furnished apartment, not luxurious but cozy, bright, close to the beach, sometimes with 24/7 security and a balcony overlooking the Sierra Nevada mountains or the Caribbean horizon, costs only $150 to $300. In the U.S., that amount barely covers a small part of electricity or insurance. In Santa Marta, it opens an entirely new chapter of life. When you walk into the local market, you will understand why people who live here always say Santa Marta nourishes them. You don't need much money, yet you still have a rich life. Shiny yellow mangoes that look like they've just touched the sun. Smooth avocados that vendors lift with both hands for you to admire. Fish still shimmering silver because they've just come off the net. Bundles of green vegetables. No one shouts prices. No one demands anything. They simply offer you a taste, ask where you're from, sometimes even tell you whether the sea is rough today. In those moments, Santa Marta touches you with its truest self. And then, when you total up your expenses after the first month, you will understand why John and many other Americans never went back. A single person living in Santa Marta can cover all living expenses, including housing, fresh food every day, morning coffee, taxis whenever needed, internet, utilities, and even 1 or 2 medical checkups, for only about $600 to $900 a month. No belt tightening. On the contrary, it is comfortable enough that you might forget what it feels like to worry at the beginning of each month. But Santa Marta isn't just cheap. It is rich in a very unique way. Rich in nature, rich in culture, rich in color. The sea here is unlike any other Caribbean city I've seen. It is wide, wild, and gentle at the same time. Some days the waves are soft, gleaming like a mirror. Some days the wind is strong, carrying an ocean scent so deep that you feel incredibly small. And behind the sea is the Sierra Nevada, tall, cold, and mysterious. It's hard to imagine that it takes only 30 minutes to go from a hot beach to cool mountain forests. It is a beautiful paradox that only Santa Marta has. And then there is Tayrona, a place where even Americans who have traveled the world fall silent upon arrival. You walk along trails covered in dry leaves, hearing birds mixed with the sound of wind, and suddenly before you appears a long stretch of golden beach, with turquoise water as if it were mixed by an artist. It doesn't try to please you, it simply is what it is. A raw beauty so pure that you feel lucky just to stand there, take a deep breath, and store the moment in your memory. People in Santa Marta are an essential part of this charm. In the US, you can live next to a neighbor for 3 years without knowing their name. Here, within just 1 week, you already know the fruit sellers, the taxi drivers, or the owners of the eateries near your home. They don't live in a rush. They look you in the eye when they speak to you. They remember what kind of fruit you like. Remember what time you usually walk to the beach. That kind of care isn't loud or showy, but it makes you feel present, feel valued. Healthcare in Santa Marta is also something that reassures the expat community. Private hospitals are clean, doctors are friendly and skilled, and consultation costs are only a fraction of what you would pay in the US. Many Americans come here for dental work or light treatments, and eventually decide to stay long-term. They find here a level of care that doesn't leave them buried in debt the way it often does back home. In terms of safety, Santa Marta is not an absolute paradise, but it is far safer than Colombia's reputation suggests. Areas where foreigners live are regularly patrolled. Locals are friendly and protect their community in a natural yet effective way. And finally, Santa Marta has something that very few coastal cities can give you. The feeling that you are living your real life, not a life swept away by work, by bills, by the invisible pressures of modern society. Here, you hear more clearly the sound of your own footsteps on the sand, the laughter of children on the street, the waves whispering softly or crashing powerfully. And when you sit down on a plastic chair on the beach, watching the sun sink slowly into the water, you will understand what John meant. I didn't come here to escape life. I came here to find it again. Santa Marta is not for everyone, but for those who are looking for a place that is affordable, beautiful, authentic, full of energy, and capable of making their heart beat to a new rhythm, then this may be the stop they never want to leave. When you look back at the journey through Burgas, Santa Marta, and Hua Hin, you will realize something simple. Americans who leave their homeland are not running away. They are trying to find themselves again. And strangely, they don't find that in luxurious or expensive cities, but in small and authentic ones, where the sea is gentle, the people are kind, and life is slow enough for you to hear your own heartbeat. Burgas gives them the peace of low-cost Europe. Santa Marta gives them the vibrant colors of the Caribbean, wrapped in care. Hua Hin gives them the gentle breath of a life no longer rushed. 3 different places, 3 different rhythms, yet all saying the same thing. Outside the United States, there are still cities where you can live well on just $600, $900 a month and live a life that truly belongs to you. And who knows? One day, you too may stand on a faraway shore and realize, I have found a softer version of myself.